Hello, hello, Empower. Hello, hello, Empower Network TV. This is Adriana, your host for tonight, and we have a special guest today. We have Paula Day, and I will tell you a secret. I know Paula because she was my coach. She was my first coach ever, and it's such a pleasure to have her here. And let's talk about a little bit because she chose a very incredible and provocative title today. So we talk about how to make more money. And, we all want to know how to make more money, but there are different kind of ways. And I think she's the best one to talk because she's a very successful businesswoman. And I want to start it with who actually is Paula and what Paula stands for before anything else.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much for inviting me on. And it's an absolute honor to be here and to be talking in this group. So firstly, very, very grateful for that. And who is Paula? Well, she is actually, she's a business coach now, but I wasn't always a business coach. I started off as an accountant. So if anyone here is started off as an accountant or started off in a completely different job, I had no idea that I would end up here today. I thought that I would be in an accounting career. And so I started off my corporate role. I climbed the corporate ladder really, really fast. And that was because of two things. One, there was a massive push for women in leadership. So I got all of this leadership and coaching training at work, which came in handy later, right? Yeah. And the second thing was, I had a son, and the eldest son that I had two special needs. So I had to make that call whether I go and work and bring in more money so that he could have everything that he wanted, or if I stay around and help him through all of his therapy. And my dad helped me make that decision. He retired at 53 to help me. Wow. And he said, look, I've got not as many years left and it's your turn. So off I went to work, and I climbed that corporate ladder, and I did love it for a while, and I got to work on some really large infrastructure projects and got some really beautiful high-profile jobs working with ministers and parliament and government here. And I got to that point where I was like, I could just see this little picture of my kids on the desk. I'd never really got to see them, and I had 3 kids. And I had the beautiful, office view, I can't even remember what floor I was on, but overlooking the city, corner office, amazing team that I was working with. Everything was amazing at work, but I wasn't internally happy.
Yes.
I think you get this, you've been through this, right? And I think a lot of people here probably have that too. You've had this career and you should be happy, you should be successful, but in fact, I was typing into Google, I don't know if anyone's done this, how to be happy. I just was not happy. So I was looking for something or searching for something. And I don't know if you know this, but my first business that I went into was a t-shirt business. I started off a t-shirt business. Yep. I listened to a podcast. So I listened to an interview similar to this, right? And it was Pat Flynn. I don't know if anyone knows Pat Flynn, but he does an amazing podcast. He's from the USA, but he was interviewing someone Aussie, and I sort of resonated. And they went through what they did, and they said they started up a t-shirt business on Amazon. And I just followed the steps. I took the action. I hired a Tony Robbins coach, and I just went all in. And in a couple of months, I was earning more than I was in my corporate job. I couldn't believe it. I was making money in my sleep. I'm not a designer either. I'm an accountant. I just followed the process, and I learned along the way. There's a lot of YouTubing. And then I thought, I'm going to be a t-shirt business owner. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to build this. I had designers working for me. I was building it, I was scaling it. And it all came apart when I had a relationship breakdown. So anyone who's been through something like that, your life sort of stops, it goes on hold, and that business didn't get to me. I didn't get it. I didn't get the business, and I was devastated. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just couldn't look at another t-shirt. I couldn't look at the t-shirt business anymore. because it just reminded me of my old life and I didn't want to look at it. So I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I can sit pretty here in this job, which everyone around me is telling me to do. By the way, there's no one in my life that's telling me otherwise. And everyone thinking that I'm silly. Or I can do what these sort of podcasts are telling me to do, that I'm listening on the way to work, and find another way. And I decided to hire a coach. I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I was just going to be a public speaker. I wanted to do speaking. And he's like, oh no, you have to be a coach. Like you're incredible. And with his support and his encouragement and the steps, like I was able to build a successful coaching business. It like during COVID is when it took off. I couldn't believe it. And be able to do that and raise the kids and work around them. And it's just been this magical journey along the way.
That's such an incredible story. And I love that you mentioned all those details, because people correlate with a lot of things. There's so many people, especially after COVID, when they lost families, they lost family members, they lost businesses, and they don't have the drive anymore to start it all over. And you are a living proof that you started all over, despite whatever that happened, and despite all the struggles and the blockages that we look at them in that moment, they're like blockages. But maybe if we change our mindset to think that those are not actually blockages, those are stops to guide you to where exactly you need to be. And in that moment, it's hard to see, but afterwards you realize it's like, I get it now why I had to go through that. I get it that my family had to break apart because I had something much better to come. So when you talk about, like shifting, because you mentioned you don't want to look at that, you didn't want to do t-shirts because you didn't want to look at your old self. What is that paradigm that you had to change, to take, to be able to become the successful woman that you are today? Because you had to change, to shift something inside you, because everything starts from the inside that expresses outside.
Absolutely. And it wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. What I have found has really helped me, and what I've found that I did in those times when I went back to go, okay, well, what are all those moments where I just made that decision and it sort of shifted, and it seemed like it happened very, very quickly as well. Like with the t-shirt business, I just started making money quickly. With this business, I started making money quickly. It was the shift to go, you know what? I'm making the decision in my head that I am going to do it. But then to turn up every single day and face that internal challenge and the external challenge, because you've got family and friends. I don't know if anyone else has got that, like family and friends all saying, what the hell are you doing? Like, stop. This is silly. Stop. You don't even. So I learned not to share. I learned to shut off that the outside world and just go, okay, well, look, that's where they're at, but I don't have to listen to it. So in my head, I was like a little kid going, oh, yeah, I'm not listening, right? And in my head, I would often put my headphones on, but not have anything in them. In my head was just my mantras going on and on and on. And so that people didn't disturb me, but they thought I was listening to something. But all I was saying in my head over and over and over again was the mantra that I developed for myself, which anyone here can develop their own mantra, just to tell yourself who you are over and over and over again. And I found myself turning up for her, showing up for her, even though I couldn't see it yet, even though I was really scared at the start. Like I didn't want to go live. I didn't even have a Facebook account when I started. Like I wasn't on social media. I was a very introverted accountant, very happy in Excel. Like I didn't think I was going to be able to do this. And then, it was just one step at a time of doing the action and then getting more confident with it. And that those steps, I couldn't visualize the steps to now. You just have to take them. So it's making that decision and just making the steps and just being trusting that you know that this step, it's either going to lead to what I want or it's going to lead to something better, whatever that is.
So you always had in one way, even a lot of people think like positive, but it helped a lot to have more of a positive mindset, or at least to go towards that instead of looking backwards. You always look forward, and you always almost like expecting that even if it's not going to happen what I want, it might happen something different, but that different, I choose to be better, at least to trust that it's going to be better. So it's a great lesson. And what other lessons you have been learning for the last, I will say 2-3 years, is with all the COVID? I know you're from Australia, and we all know that Australia has been very harsh hit by COVID, like all the world too. But I know Australia has been, diminished a lot because of the restrictions and all of that, and it took a long time to actually open up. What would be those lessons that you had to learn, because you are in the middle of your success, if I can call it, or on your merging towards your success, and that hit you again, like it hit all of us? How did you manage that, and what were those lessons that were able to, that you grasp now that you're looking backwards, not to ponder about what happened, but to get the lessons? What would be those lessons that you say that you can take with you now, and you are teaching those to your clients?
I love this question because I think it hit everyone, and it was such a big impact. And here where I live, like in Australia, we had different levels, but where I live in Melbourne, it was the most locked down city. We were locked down for, I think, 8 months of the year. And it was me locked down in a house with 5 children, all doing schoolwork on different devices. And my youngest daughter was, I think she was in grade 1. So every single morning she would wake up and she'd go, "What's the login again? I don't know my login. I don't know my password." It's like constantly you've got this little kid trying to work out how to even log on to a computer. You've got other kids going, "I don't know even what a PDF is." Like they had to learn and grow to be able to learn online. So I had to support these kids, and I had a new partner who's amazing, but he's an electrician and he still was able to work. So he went to work every day. He had plenty of work. And so I was at home. I was raising these 5 kids. My business started to grow. It started to absolutely boom at that time. And I still had the corporate job. So I was like running a big team, and I had already had support with me. So I had a beautiful assistant who I still actually get feedback from. She doesn't work for me anymore because I have someone working for me a little bit more full-time basis, but beautiful assistant helping me do things that I couldn't do. So, don't be afraid to ask for help. Like I had to ask for help. I had to move and shift quickly without worrying about it. Like I did my very first group launch, and on that very first group launch, I got 44 sales calls booked. 44. I can't possibly do 44 sales calls. So I had to hire a sales lady to work with me very quickly. She had to learn my stuff, and we were doing it together. And that's when we sold that very first program. And it was just, be okay for it to be messy, because it was messy. It was me adapting. It was me asking for help as well. Like, even though we were so locked down, I asked my kids to be part of what we call team family, because I couldn't do it all on my own. I couldn't certainly do it the way I was doing it. I don't know if any other women in here do this, but I used to be the worker who worked full time, but also I used to clean my house, all of it. I used to do all the washing and the ironing and the dry cleaning. I took responsibility for it all. and I wanted to control it. So I had to let go of all of that. I had to let go of it being perfect. I had to let go of it being my way. And I had to get the kids on board to help me in different ways. And I also had to get, like, when things opened up, I'm not shy to ask for help from our family as well. Hey, can you run this kid to that appointment or that sports event? Or can you help me with this because we're really busy at this time? Or packaging off bits of work to my assistant now, or a VA, or even I would just go on Upwork and go, like, I just have this piece of work. Can someone do this little bit for me? So just outsourcing what I could and asking for help, and just not being afraid to do that, because it took the pressure off me having to do it and having to do it perfect. I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise.
That's a big one for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I'm sure you know, you already told us your story that when you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, the hardest part is to let go the control of the whole business. So that takes me to the point where I want to tell you, I'm going to quote you. You said in a post that I loved, it said, when you release the need to control and then you just trust, then things are flowing. So let's dive a little bit more deeper in this, because this I'm now going to correlate with a lot of people, and myself too. So I'm selfish. I need to know it for me too. It's this need of, like, trying to keep everything under control in one way, because otherwise it's like, it's not going to be my way, so it's not good. But in the same time, to try to balance it, to let go, but having the feeling of that you can control overall your business, but outsources too. And I think that's the hardest part of any entrepreneur in general, and especially on the beginning, because once we talk about scaling, you don't have a choice. You have to delegate, and you have to have a team. It's a must. And you've been through all that phases. You've been through the phase when you controlled everything, then you had to learn to leave some things go. And then now that you have a team, you had to learn to let go to a lot of things. But in the same time, you still want to have a fairly control over your business because it's your baby. So how do you manage all of that, and how do you teach people to manage that?
I love this. So I really loved actually that post when I wrote that. It just came from the heart. It was just a random thing that I thought of, and I went, oh my gosh, this is just flowing through me. So I'm glad that you picked that one in particular. And so many of my clients who come to me, they really fight for holding on. They fight for, okay, yeah, I'll give up this little bit, but no, I can still do that little bit of that. No, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep the email. I'm going to keep the newsletter. I'm going to keep this little bit of admin because I'm the only one who knows how to do it, apparently, right? Yeah. And so it's looking at it and taking some steps towards going, you know what, do you really need to do that? You know, who else could do it for you, or what else could do it for you? Like, sometimes it's actually just a matter of going and restructuring things, and maybe you don't even need to do that task, right? Maybe it's realigning some things. You're doing stuff that you don't need to be doing, or there's a software out there that can do it for you or automate it for you, or it's about going, okay, well, I can step back, and I know it's not an easy thing to let go of everything. It's a process to be able to do it. Yeah. But if you do want to be able to grow, and most people forget the reason why they started. And for me, the reason why I started was to spend time with my kids. It was about freedom. It was about having the freedom to be able to have the time with them and still have the money as well. And when I wrote that post, I actually had a lot of in mind too about people holding on to money, right? Like really concentrating on the sale, the client. I must get the next sale. I must get the next client. I must have this money. And they get so desperate about it that then it doesn't come, right? We have to have that faith. We have to have that trust that, okay, I am supported. I am supported by my money, and I will do whatever I need to do. Like I ran my corporate business. I ran my business while I still had my corporate career until I had enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to make sure that you're supported, but also trusting in yourself, trusting in your team, and knowing people are going to stuff it up. They're not going to do it your way. There's going to be some massive stuff ups. I mean, just the other day I had an email go out and I went, oh, no, I didn't want it sent to those people, but it's okay. Like things happen, right?
Yeah.
We're all human. Things are going to happen. Just not making a big deal about it, giving feedback and moving forward, and growing the business. That's all you can do. But also trusting in yourself with your team, with the tasks, but also in the money and the money coming back to you as well. Like not being, I think when we don't let go of the control around we must have this many clients, or we must have this many things, or this much money, it doesn't allow the money to flow. Like the more that you're able to just trust in it, in the process, let go and trust that you're going to be supported, and to be able to do that, this is probably the tricky part for some people, especially when you're not in that space of trust, when you're in that place of, oh my gosh, but I need that, Paula. Like I must have that money coming in, or I don't pay my bills. So I must have this. So it becomes this, oh my gosh, I'm not really trusting it. I'm not really sure, and I'm scared. And you see that energy is different. And all of a sudden, this is when things don't flow, right? Because your energy is off. So to pull that energy back on, like a really easy way to do it is to look at whatever amount of money you've got. And now I started again from zero just before 40 when I had that split. I walked away with nothing, right? So I've been there, I've done that. So whether it's $3 in your bank account, or it's a lot more in your bank account, or if it's 300 or 3,000 or whatever it is, whatever's in your bank account, just to appreciate what that is. Oh, wow, you know what? I've got that. Yeah, maybe I can't pay all of my bills today, but maybe I can in a few weeks. That's okay. Yeah. Just appreciating that you do have money flowing in, appreciating what you have. So being in that state of gratitude and that state of appreciation for what you have, rather than in the space of grabbing and lack, because that's just going to cause more of that grabbing and lack behavior back to you, right? So if you want to create more abundance and more money flowing in really easily, then you need to be in that state of trust and let go. Trust and trust that you're supported, whether it's the minimal amount that you've got in there now. Trust that that's going to get you through to the next one. Just trusting you're going to be okay. And just watch, like when you're in that space of trust, watch what shows up for you in different ways. Yeah. In different ways.
100%. I'm such a proof of that too. I'm learning, lately to let go of a lot of things too. And it's true, when you let go, because that's the thing I was thinking lately too, is this idea that when you want something, it's a need. So that means you are lack of it. And when you lack of it and you give out, like you give to the universe or whatever, the lack, what is going to mirror back to you, it's the same lack. And when you create abundance inside of you and you express that outside, that's just going to reflect back to you. So I really love that you said that. But when if people, they listen to us and they say, okay, Paul, I get it. I listen to what you're doing. I'm on board with that. But how do I make the money on the beginning? Because I'm on zero. I don't have nothing. I want to start it all over. I want to have a fresh start. How do I do that? How do you help people to do that?
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's like when you're starting out. So say if you're starting from zero, whether you've lost a business or you've been through a relationship breakup, like what happened to me, like at some point in your life, if you're taking enough risks, you're probably going to end up back at zero at some point, and you're going to have to rebuild. A lot of, like, if you listen to a lot of stories on entrepreneurs, you'll hear a lot of people have gone to zero at some point in their life and they've had to build back up. And at that point, what I see a lot, especially in the coaching space, I see a lot of people go into this stressed out mode. I don't know if you've seen this, like they go, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. I must get a sale now. And then it's the lack, right? It's they're pushing everyone away from them. Nobody's going to come near them because of their energy is off, right? So when you are in that space, the best thing to do is to look at how you can support yourself. And so I think when you're starting off from zero and you're starting a new business, look at ways that you can support yourself otherwise. Like maybe you need to take a different job while you're doing it. Maybe you need to, like I had a friend who was an amazing, she was studying to be a magician. She was doing magic shows and she wanted to do really big magic shows. And on the weekends, she drove Uber, right? You need to do what you need to do until you can get your business there, because the moment you put too much stress and too much pressure on your business, you know it yourself, all of a sudden you're repelling everyone because you're so stressed out, right? And we don't want that. We want the body to feel in this beautiful abundant state. We don't want your body in stress. So do what you need to do to support you until you can support yourself with your business. And also there's lots of different ways you can do that online now, which is really, really cool. And so many people are doing it lots of different ways. So it's not one model. It's not one way fits all. Like I've had clients who have come to me and, you know, they've built a business where they, you know, they're actually getting out there and they service deliver. They have to be on site to deliver their product. And they've never, ever done anything online before. And so then they jump online and they do one thing and it's like really nervous to do. And then this is Emily and Ian I'm talking about, if they ever watch this, but they did like this one thing online. They almost got blocked from Instagram because it just went, it exploded. It exploded their business. And all they were doing, like they had no idea about the platform. They just started to, you know, comment on other people's things and love on their stuff. And people found them and they found their books full. So you never know what that one thing is going to be. Like, I think I put out, when I had my t-shirt business, I reckon I put out 100 designs that no one bought that I thought were amazing. And then I just put out some random design and it got picked up and it went crazy. And I woke up in the morning and there was like 180 of that t-shirt sold. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it inspired me to keep going. You don't know. You might have to try 60 times. You might have to try 90 times. And often, you know, if you listen to enough entrepreneurs, it's not the first business that, you know, takes off. It might be their second business or their third or their fourth. So don't be stressed or worried about retrying, and because you never ever failed if you never ever gave up.
I'm into that. Never give up. That's one thing I learned from you too. I remember you always just like, you know what you're doing. You know what, even if you don't know, you're going to figure it out. Just look at the first step. Don't worry about 20 steps ahead. Just look at the first step and do that. And we talk after, you know, and I remember that for sure. How do you help people to make money? Because we talk about making money. How do you help people and how do you serve people to teach them how to make money?
So accountant by trade. So there's a lot of skill set there, right? So before in my corporate space, I used to do a lot around money and advice in that area for some really large scale projects, sort of $1 million and $1 billion type deals, right? And so now I don't really work with the $1 million and $1 billion type ones, but I work with small to medium type businesses. And generally, when they come to me, they have made some money in their business and they want to make more. But I don't know if anyone is on here and you've got your business going and it's like, you're able to pay your bills, you're able to pay your staff, you're able to pay your stock, or you're able to pay all your things, all your software, and you can't pay yourself. Or you pay yourself, there's a little dirty hidden secret, right? That they're paying everyone else, but they're not paying themselves. And I've spoken to business owners who are in the business for like 10 years, 11 years even, and they have not been able to cut themselves a really decent wage and they're ready to give up. Like by that stage, they are exhausted and they don't want the stress if they're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So what I really encourage my clients to do first, and I would encourage all of you to do, is to get intimate with your money. I call it getting intimate with your money. I want you to know what you've got, what's coming in and what's going out, and when it's happening, right? What's coming in and what's going out. Because often money is a subject that we were brought up to not talk about, to hide, to celebrate when we've got it, and when we don't have it, to hide, right? And so often we don't want to know it. Or we say, I'm not good at maths, I'm not good at it, so I'm not going to look at it. Or that's
just put it on the back burner.
Yeah, I'll put it over there. I won't look at it. I'll get creative over here in Canva, or I'll do something pretty over here. I'll do my podcast. So we do the things that we love, and often numbers and money are not something that's talked about, discussed, and we not looked at, or people go, you know what, I've got it covered. I've handed it to the accountant, or I've handed it to the bookkeeper and they're looking after it. Yes, they're doing all the lovely things with it, but you need to understand what's coming in and what's going out, because that's where you can see if you can make a profit or you can't make a profit. Now, often, you know, we get really excited and we see money in our account and go, oh, I made some sales. This is fantastic. Or we get excited about sales, especially in the beginning. But then is the sale on payment plan that's going to be over a certain period, or is it going to be up front? And then you're going to have to make sure you manage that money for a few months. Like these things are something that you can learn. And I know that even if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh, this is so boring, I don't want to listen to money, Paula, I don't want to think about my figures, then this is for you. Like, just take the time, start, even if it's just opening a bill or opening your account on the first day and taking like a sip of wine or something and going, okay, all right, I'm going to look at it. I just want you to start to look at it and start to get intimate with what you've got coming in and what you've got going out, because guaranteed, the more that you start to understand it, the more questions you might have. And no, like, none of these skills can't be learned. You can do it. You have the skills to do it. You have the people around you to ask. Like, it's not that expensive to hire at least a bookkeeper to ask the questions, to go, oh, what would I need to put aside for tax? How should I manage that? Because the worst thing that I see is people just going, oh, wow, I've got lots of money, I'll spend all of that, and then getting a massive tax bill, or, and then not having the money there to pay it, or getting worried about the tax that might come and not understanding even how to forecast for that. So get intimate with your money, know your money. As a business owner, you need to know this. And I've been in the rooms with, government officials. I've been in the rooms with big CEOs and directors and executive directors, and they always wanted me in the room. Why? Because they wanted to ask the questions about the money. Do I have money for it? Have we got forecasts enough? Can I afford my staff for the next month? Can I afford all of this plant and equipment, all of that for the next month? How many months do I have left to get this going? Like, they ask those questions. And as a business owner, it's a skill that you're going to have to learn. It's something that you need to learn if you want to make money, because I want you to be able to pay yourself. I want you to have that freedom and not just get all the money in and spend it out. Like, so think about, how you're going to build your freedom, how you're going to pay yourself well. And that's either reducing your expenses or increasing your rates, or it's looking at, how you structure your business to make it work for you. And that's going to be different for everyone. But really making sure that you can get paid. And then what do you do with it? Like, are you putting some away so that you can eventually, replace your income with passive income and not have to work in a business or anywhere in the future? So thinking about your future too.
Yes, it's so true. Especially, especially even a lot of people on the beginning of any kind of business, they don't think much about the future, or they predicting a future that is not, it's almost hard to touch because they make it way too big and unreachable. And then it's a big gap between where they are and where they want to reach. And then they freak out and then they go back and it's like, I don't think this is for me. But it's not that. It's you need to have the right people that they can show you the path, and they can pinpoint the certain things that we like, I'm just going to put in the back burner. And
Yes.
I love that. I love that you taught me and teach me. You continue to teach me a lot. So I am grateful for what you're doing and how many people you are serving. It's a beautiful thing to see, and you can see it that you're doing it with passion. And when it comes from your heart and from the passion, and you have such a strong why, that I know a lot of our audience, especially women, that they want that freedom. They want to be able to spend more time with their children and their family, and not being overwhelmed by a business that, instead of giving them the freedom that the first time they went for. That's why that was the reason I went in a business, to actually have freedom, not to be more trapped into it.
Yes.
So I love that. So where people can find you, where people can reach out to you, and what you are offering to them, so they can, you can drop in the comments below after this, where people can reach you out and how they can find you and ask you more questions, because I'm sure there's a lot of people here that they connect with a lot of the stories that you've been through, and I'm sure they have more questions.
I would love to connect with people. I'd love to hear your stories and connect. So yeah, feel free to connect with me directly. Like, I'll drop a link below. I'll tell you what that's going to be in a minute, but I'll drop my link below, so you can just connect with me on Facebook, or that'll have links to all of my links anyway on my Facebook profile. But I'll also drop, I don't know if I can drop this in there, I'll ask you.
Yes.
But I do have a free money playbook where
yes, please.
It's my 10 strategies so that you can really simplify your business and make more money. And it's stuff that I've used on myself, and I've used it on my clients. So look, I always say, if I can do it, you can do it. We spoke about this before. I don't always have a lot of time. So, one of my big priorities, and we're going out tonight, so my big priorities is to spend time with my partner and to spend time with my family and see the kids growing up, because you just don't get those moments again. And I missed out on so much with my older kids. That these are the strategies that I use today. And these are the strategies that I used in other people's businesses to help them do the same thing as well, so that they could free up time, so that they could have the freedom that they wanted, whatever they wanted to do with that time.
I'm sure people are going to be absolutely grateful to you to dropping that, and give them a little bit of a taste of what you're doing and how your secrets, some of your secret sauce. I'm sure everybody's going to be so happy to be able to put their hands on that. So I wanted to say thank you so much, Paula, for coming here, for taking your time of your family to be here with me. For me, it's an honor and a pleasure that I came to the moment, to live the moment that I'm interviewing my coach. Like, who doesn't want that? Okay. So I am so grateful for you. For those in the Empower Network TV watching this in a live or replay, please comment below, connect with Paula. I'm sure she's gonna love to connect with you. Give her your love and your energy back to her, how she served us today. And for those that listen today, we had some great lessons from how to get intimate with your money, which sounds very sexy as well too. And why not? Let's make the business a little bit more sexier, not so much stressful. So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much, Paula. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.